So for those of you that are new, I am Lisa Young. I know it's a funny spelling, but you pronounce it Lisa Young. And I think it was last month I created these sticker collage sheets to use. And I said I would come back and I would show you a way that I've been using them. So this is kind of what we're going to do today. I have made templates for this. You can just, and you can see I wonky sketched them. Nothing too fancy. I just kind of knew that that was kind of the shapes that I wanted to have. So I thought like this was kind of a vase and obviously a teacup and a coffee cup. And you can see how when you have this random piece of paper and then you put with this random piece of collage paper and then you put a template on here, you can see how fun and interesting these become rather than just a piece of watercolor paper or even a piece of just regular vintage paper. They come out in just these most interesting ways, and I'm loving this. And sometimes I use too much water and the sticky back doesn't work, but I like it for the sense of like it holds everything together really nicely. Even if the sticky back is not sticky anymore, I've still really enjoyed this just because of the structure it gives me when I'm working with them. Most of the time the back is sticky, but there are moments when I'm like, oops, I used too much water, but that's okay. I'm not gonna worry about it when I'm creating because I can use glue. It will be okay. So anyway, so I have a couple of these sheets that I've kind of already cut up. I try to use up what I have before I move to a new sheet just to keep my sheets so that I'm using them all up instead of having a bunch of tiny little pieces. And so if I can use these up, that's what I do. That's why these are kind of cut up a little bit. But so what we're going to do is we're going to take and trace shapes onto this paper, and you can kind of maneuver it to where it would be so nice if you used, like, I thought about this after I did it, like clear, like used a plastic bat, like a clear plastic envelope or one of those I don't have any right now, but the, you know, where you used to put the top loading plastic sheet covers that you could put into a binding notebook. I can't think of what they're called right now, but you know what I mean, the plastic sleeves. That material might be kind of nice for this because then you could see exactly what the placement is, but still I still have not done that. Like I haven't bought them, I haven't went to that, but I thought it's a good thought. So it is a good thought. Anyways, so I am going to trace this onto here, and I don't even care if I'm hitting some of the white because I actually like that sometimes. I just want it to be varied. I like the background to be varied, and when I looked under here, you could see that there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of paper. Like this is masking tape, this is the background, this has a little more color to it than that does from the background, and 2 different pieces of vintage paper. So I kind of like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take the teacup and I'm going to place it like so, and I'm going to trace. I'm lightly tracing, but I'm also putting enough pressure that I can see the marks over the top of the vintage paper, because sometimes if you go too light, you can't see what you've traced. And I do cut out the center hole of the cups, so I do trace that, which, guess what I didn't do? This part. There, did I do that? I just want to make sure. I think it was just too light. It's really hard to trace on that masking tape for whatever reason. It's kind of been a booger, but who knew? I'm going to just take this one, and you can use it on either side, like whatever one. I like this bottom piece here. I think I might go like this. And just trace. And you could do this with all kinds of different things. You could do this with, you could cut out fruit shapes, house shapes, whatever is tripping your trigger right now. Do that. I'm gonna put this one to the side. So now we have these, and I can see these lines. You may not be able to, but I can see where I need to lay paint down. Sorry, I'm gonna have a drink of my coffee here. So I'm gonna take some watercolor. I've already sprayed my watercolors, have them woken up, and I'm gonna and I've already dipped my brush so that it's pretty wet, so that when I use my watercolors, I'm not struggling to get. So I always make sure that my paintbrush is the bristles are really coated, so I will fill it up with water before I even go into watercolor. It just seems to make, because this needs some, it like depending on the look you want. Like when I was doing the stripes, I wanted more pigment, but when I was doing the edges around the cup, I wanted more pigment, but I didn't want it in the center of things. So I want it to be kind of watered down when I do this kind of wash on here, so that it's just like a kiss of color instead of a real bold color. And this one I'm gonna do in a brown, this vase. I'm gonna see how this plays out. I did black and white stripes on that one, so I wanna do something different with this one. And if you go over the line, it's not a big deal, because you can cut that out. It's not gonna be a huge deal. And so I'm gonna take, and I just kind of, and you can see some of these papers are not liking the watercolor, but that's okay, because they dry in like a cool texture and they hold up. So I just kind of go with it and I don't overthink it. Any kind of art I do, you just, like, don't overthink it, because you'll sabotage yourself. It's more about the fun and the organic feel, texture, shape of things, not about exactness. So I'm gonna just kind of pull this, just kind of pull the watercolor to the center so that everything's kind of covered. And then I'm going to go in with the brown, and I'm just going to darken some of these edges. I just put a little bit of highly pigmented watercolor at the tip of my brush, and I'm just going to kind of go across the edges of the vase here. I kind of messed up that shape a little bit, and I'm not sure if I'm going to cut that out or keep it. I love wonky stuff, so sometimes I will make it even more wonky. So sometimes I'll just leave that shape in there, and sometimes I'll cut it out. You never know. Whatever I'm feeling in the moment here. So this, you can lightly see there's this lip of the vase here, just the front of that vase, and I just kind of want to accentuate that. So I'm going to do this. Grab that and go there. Okay, so then I need to go down this edge. You can see it's bleeding into that other, and I don't care. I just kind of leave it and let it do its thing. Now I'm just going to kind of go along this edge and let everything kind of bleed in there. And then I want to go along that top pencil line and put like a little edge. This already has some color to it, but I just wanted to kind of darken that edge there as well. And so I'm going to let this dry for a minute, and then we're going to go on to the next cup, and I just keep going. So let's do this cup blue, and again, I'm just kind of spreading some watercolor. You can see that this watercolor, this paper here is not wanting, and I could put, it's not wanting to absorb. And so I could put watercolor ground on it, but I'm still liking the texture of things, so I'm just letting it be and letting it do its thing. But you could, if you wanted to, go over it with some watercolor ground or some transparent gesso. The brushes I'm using are not my fine watercolor brushes. They are fine watercolor brushes. They're the Black Velvet, and they are absolutely divine. But my I have a set that I use on mixed media and a set that I use on just watercolor paper and watercolors. But I like using really good brushes on anything that I'm doing, just because it makes my life easier. So that's why I stick with the brushes. And it's a brush that I'm familiar with. And so if I was to switch to like a acrylic or something, it would just make my life a little harder, because I like using the watercolor brush because I'm familiar with it. So that's why I use these for my mixed media. And they're the ones that I use the most. I have my watercolor brushes put away so I don't grab them and ruin them, because in a weak moment I could probably do it. I know myself that well. So now I'm doing that highly pigmented around the edge, the perimeter of this teacup here. The blue is really absorbing into this really well. I like it. And I just make sure it's along that pencil line, and then here we're gonna go make a swoop. I drew that on there, but I don't see that line. So I'm just kind of making, I can kind of see it on the edges, I just can't see it in the across. And so I'm making my own marking, just kind of by memory, because it's not that hard of a mark to make. And then I'm going to do again along this top of the cup here. And you could go in and soften these lines if you wanted to, but I'm going to leave them as is, I think. I'm just adding a little bit here. And I don't know, maybe I do want to soften some of these here. I don't know. I might regret that. I think I might regret that. But the good thing is I can just go back in and make them more. I don't know if I'll regret it or not there. I don't know, I'm kind of liking it. I might go back over this once everything dries, but we'll see. Okay, let's see. Now this cup, trying to do some different colors of cups because I have pink and I have this teal, so I did blue, and so I'm going to do orange on this one. I love orange and yellow, but I like yellow more, but I thought the orange would show up better, maybe. I could be wrong. Because I usually use like yellow ochre or something, so it does have stronger pigments, but I thought I would go with one that you guys could see really well. I'm edging it first. I don't know why I did that, but okay. Now let's just kind of get it to merge all over the cup. I'm loving all the background papers in this. It's so much fun. Then I'm going to take this and do the wonky handle of the mug. And then this makes great collage fodder in your books, in your journals. Like I have my writing journal and then my art journal, and these work great for both. So it's nice to have a stash of something like this that you can kind of use in those journals whenever you're ready. Okay, there we go. So now I wanted to see if I could remove some of this from this center here. So I just got my brush wet, and then I'm just kind of wiping away some of this watercolor here before it completely dries, because my hindsight is saying, oh, you shouldn't have colored that in all the way, but oh well, it's there. All right, so now I'm going to take highly pigmented orange here and add a rim to the mug here. And it kind of has that already, but I'm just going to go over it. And any kind of edges that I want to go back and add some lines to, I'm going to. I can see where I need to just clear up some of these lines here. You can see where it really held to some papers and not to others, and that's perfectly fine. Let's see if I can't make it hold in there a little better. It works. All right, so this one, trying to decide if we want to add I'm wondering where this is. Maybe we can add a little abstracty color by using some of this orange. I don't know, I'm just curious. Just adding a detail, I guess, an unexpected detail. I think I need a little bit more. Instead of like stripes, just trying to do something different than I did over there. Adding some more color there. Okay, letting it dry. So now I'm just gonna take the heat gun and see if the heat gun, I have to be very careful with vintage papers because they get hot really, really fast. And so I'm just gonna add a little bit of heat to this. But first what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a paper towel and sop up any extra water that's just kind of sitting here. That will make it easier, and so it'll make it quick to dry as well. So I'm just kind of tapping it off there as well. I'm just gonna, there, I took away most of that orange, which is a bummer. But now let's just take this heat gun and just add a little bit of heat to this. Okay, so now we're gonna cut it out, cut these out, so we can see how they look. The paper's all wonky. Okay. And I don't cut on the line, I kind of cut around the line a little bit, just slightly. It's just the way that I like to do it. But you could cut on the line. So there we have two vases. This, I got really close to that line. Whoops. And then I'm just, this one, the textures on it are just making me happy. I just love it right now. It's so cool. The way that the paint has, the watercolor has dried and sunken in, like just soaked up in some papers, but not in others, which I'm loving right now. Now we'll get this one. And you can add, so I could add brown to this if I wanted to, and to the other cup, the other mug if I wanted to, or I can wait until I actually use them in a journal and then add that. So you can do it either way. There we go. So the next thing I do is I take small pointy scissors and I poke. You don't have to cut the hole out of the handle, but I like to. So I'm just kind of cutting this out, and then these are done. So I will be posting a video of me using these in my journal so that you can see that as well. But I just thought for right now, for this video, I was just going to show you guys one thing that I do with them. I also stamp on them. I think they're really cool with stamps just because it adds this random background to things that just that I can't generate on my own, kind of. I overthink it or something, but So, but this is what we have right now. So these will make great collage fodder for my journals. And so I hope you enjoyed this, and you can see how it just this simple thing creates something that's super interesting when you start adding just adding watercolor to it and shapes to it. It just, to just do this on just one sheet of paper would not, I don't know, wouldn't create this for me. And it makes it super easy, super random without me having to overthink it. So I hope you enjoyed this, and look for the video where I use these in my journal.